Tupac. And if nobody shot Tupac, it's the same nobody that shot MLK. And if nobody shot him, that's the same person that shot Malcolm X too. It's a lot of nobodies out there, and nobody minds if nobody comes up missing, right? That don't bother nobody, does it? Certainly doesn't bother me.
Do you have any idea who shot Suge?
I'm pretty sure Suge knows who shot Suge.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so when he comes out of sedation, I'm sure anybody who gets shot will tell you who shot them, right?
Yeah.
But if the police say nobody shot him, I believe nobody shot him. And if nobody shot him, that's the same nobody that shot Tupac. And if nobody shot Tupac, it's the same nobody that shot MLK. And if nobody shot him, that's the same person that shot Malcolm X too. It's a lot of nobodies out there, and nobody minds if nobody comes up missing, right? That don't bother nobody, does it? Certainly doesn't bother me.
Back up. But the real reason Malcolm X was killed was because he was about to expose the truth about these black extraterrestrials. Okay? In the Nation of Islam, they tried to tell him be quiet. And then Malcolm, because he started tapping into himself, that's how he was able to find out about what Muhammad was doing, how he was molesting all them girls in the actual nation. You know what I'm saying? He was actually having sex, like he had accident. Now that's what you call real evidence. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker, he had actually impregnated, you know what I'm saying, like 5, 6 younger goddesses in the nation. And it wasn't the age, it was more about the fact that Malcolm realized that he was using the Nation of Islam to have his way with these girls. The same thing that they do in the Christianity. The pastor do the same thing. Come on, man. The pastor be fucking everybody in the congregation. Nigga be fucking the whole congregation, man. What are you talking about? In the black church, nigga. And in the white church, Catholic church, the priest is fucking everybody's son. He didn't fucked everybody's son. You know what I'm saying? And niggas want to go sit in there and confess their sins to him. Talking about Father, I have something to confess. Right? But what happened was Malcolm found out all that shit. He found out about the I am that I am. He found out who the real Allah was. See, the real Allah is us. You, me. Arm, leg, arm, head. Allah. That's the real Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head. Allah.
Papa ever done it with Papa? The first time when we were little done it, we had feared so much.
When you did what?
When we killed a baby, the first time. And
you killed the babies?
It. Yes.
Yourself?
With Papa. Papa holding my hand. He helped me. But he told me to cut the baby's head off. But he forced me to. I couldn't.
He held your hand?
He held my hand, yes.
Like what? Show me.
So this is my hand on the knife. He put his big hand on, and he pushed my hand and then cut off the head. Like that. And then when we got older, we got more used to it.
A federal vanished in Missouri. Lawmakers are furious with the state agency for a lack of protection and policies.
Our Missouri Chief Capitol Bureau reporter Emily Manley is live with the story, all new at 6 tonight. Emily.
Well, the acting director for the Department of Social Services says that as of Tuesday morning, there were 95 kids in the state's case management system that were on the run. In a report released last week by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, it says Missouri has previously failed to comply with federal requirements that could help find missing children.
And when you ask where they are, Representative Bailey, where are they?
There are more than 13,000 kids in Missouri's foster care system. After hundreds disappeared in August 2019, the Inspector General joined other law enforcement agencies to find them. That led to an audit of the state's agency.
I'm not going to say, well, nothing to do because this is, related to something that happened 3 years ago. But I am going to say that it absolutely is an important factor in how we are trying to lead and manage the Children's Division right now.
Top DSS officials, including Acting Director Jennifer Tidball, responded to frustrated lawmakers Tuesday, days after the federal report was released, placing blame on previous administration.
I don't want to leave it with the committee that we aren't doing anything, because we are.
In the 59 cases reviewed by DHHS, the report says Missouri rarely demonstrated attempts to reduce children's risk of falling out of the system. The audit shows that in nearly half of those cases, there was no evidence that the child's case manager reported them missing, as required by state and federal law.
Your testimony is that this was a previous administration's big oopsie in violation of federal law. And I'm trying to determine whether or not, like, when we decided that that was a problem.
According to the report, one child became a victim of sex trafficking in 4 states.
We need to abide by state and federal law, because for one, we might not get funding. If this goes on and more kids are sex trafficked out of foster care.
Those outside of the agency say problems within are well known.
I still see concerns regarding timely reports, that when a child is missing, how many days it takes to actually report them missing.
Now, the chairman of the committee says that this report shows that 1 in every 20 children that are in the state's foster care system have been reported missing at one point. Members do plan to meet again here in the Capitol for another meeting before lawmakers return in January to discuss legislative recommendations. Reporting live tonight from Missouri.
Fight us in this war, one of the most strongest warriors was the Titan Ocean. They had to literally drive his body through something to keep it down, to keep him from rising again during that war, during this battle. All right? And he has a liquid base. He comes from a liquid base, so liquid is hard to hold down. Right? So what did they do? They used the Moors, who they had already put under a spell, because the Moors are the ones that gave them the access codes to the ancient technology we had called Macurbas that they used to push our sun away, to blow up our crystal towers, to cut down our trees. All right, they used our own technology against us to do that. All right, the Moors didn't try to do that, but the Moors were put under a spell. That's why the Moors were the ones that helped them build up Europe, because after the Great Invasion, they started to build up their own version of what they wanted on this planet, and it started with Europe, and they were using our very own to do that. The Moors are the ones that wrote the Declaration of Independence. The Moors are the ones that wrote the Constitution for them. The Moors are the ones that built all the cathedrals in Europe for them. All this took place while they were put heavily under a spell. They broke that spell, though. And after they broke that spell, then that's when Europe went to war with the Moors. Look it up. Listen. They don't let the mom and the dad go in the room where they get a shot to the baby. They take them in there, be a motherfucker, they got the candles out already and everything. They be on that. They hit you with the shots. It be a person that already cast their little shit and they hear up and get you back. They hear up and get you back to your mom, and then, you know what I'm saying? They don't keep you too long. It's an in and out. It's a facts. Boy, I'm putting y'all on real, divine, cosmic information now. These people don't want you to know, nigga. You feel me? That's how they hit you. That's why the doctor nigga come out, he be here to free the planet. You came down here to get high. You are not a god. You are not one of the original 23 scientists. You don't need to remember that. Your name is going to be Rashad Jamal White. That's who you are. An African American chasing the American dream. You think I'm lying, nigga? They be back there like that for real. Write it down. He's here or she's here. You know what I'm saying? Up. Now they testing your dark matter energy levels in the other room. Testing the baby. Up. Reading your shit on the scale. Will our nanobot technology be able to stop this soul and spirit from rising through our light code lockdown? Because if it don't, then this soul and spirit is going to tell everybody else about the bullshit. It's going to cause a lot of problems for us here. That's what they be doing. Because they put nanobot technology in us all. And if your dark matter energy's levels too high, they can't do shit about it, but just up. They know you're going to break it. So you're going to be one of them awoke motherfuckers down here, like myself and yourself if you watching. And all they going to do is set up a bunch of agents around you to make your life hard. They be your teachers, everybody around you. You be in on it. Like the Truman Show. You hear me? Like the motherfucking Truman Show, y'all. They have everybody around you, fake family members and everything. They be agents, nigga. They done moved you from your real family. Y'all don't even know how deep this shit get. Nigga, they been and moved you from your real family at birth, nigga. They put a bunch of agents around your ass. Y'all laughing. I'm dead serious, nigga. Your mama ain't even your real mama. A lot of y'all ain't got y'all real parents out there, don't even know it. Real, especially if you woke. All right. You think this shit a joke. You wonder why your ass the black sheep of the family. You wonder why you really the black sheep of your family, nigga. Fuck you mean. As soon as you was born, nigga, your ass, your dark matter energy levels too high, nigga. They up, remove your ass from your parents, put you around a whole bunch of new parents who are really agents, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling y'all government facts, nigga, that's gonna break y'all heart out there, nigga. A lot of y'all ain't even with y'all families. Nigga ain't never seen your family that the pussy you did come out of, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Oh. If you were breathing hydrogen, you would be a beautiful blue, a luminous green, or a luminous red, or a luminous magenta, a luminous purple, violet. Well, we the rainbow when we breathing hydrogen and not oxygen. The rainbow comes from us. Rainbow is all the colors. Now, what one color composes all the colors? Black. Dark matter energy. Created all these beautiful colors you see. And we know that rainbows are actually stargates. Oxygen out the whole fucking planet. This is why when you walk out your house every day, nighttime, daytime, you're gonna see little planes in the sky flying. And guess what? Those are not people flying those planes. Those are fucking reptilians and Pleiadians. Did you know that? Did you know that when you look out, I know everybody on it now, you look up, you see how the planes spraying and shit, you probably the regular people on there. Those are not. They would never let a regular person work that type of job. They can't trust them with that. These motherfuckers have hijacked our planet. Then they rolling out all these fucking series about it, and y'all sitting at home eating popcorn, laughing. Nigga, they telling you all in your face, nigga, what it is, and you still around this bitch playing? Just like all the black and Latino, they made a mockery of where you came from to completely cut off your memories of where you came from. You have to question if UFOs exist. Think about that. That's insanity. If you understand and truly understand that you come from what they call the stars. You know what I'm saying? You come from what they call the stars. This is where you come from. And you created this planet. Your ancestors created this planet and all the planets and all the realities. And then you descended down onto this planet to visit one of your many creations. And you decided to use this planet as a dojo, a spiritual dojo, to further build up the assassin skills that was needed to protect the galaxies, because we was always at war in the cosmos. It was always duality ever since Zeus turned on us. Ever since Zeus turned on us, you know him down here on your planet is Satan. All right, so it was always war in the cosmos for many energy cycles now, because we don't have time and space in the cosmos. We only have energy cycles. I keep telling you, time and space only exists here. It's a spell that was conducted and conjured up by the Arcturians. Just like all the black and Latinos in North America is under a spell right now. That's why they can't get along. It spells over every major city in the United States, which is why there's so much violence in all your major cities. Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, LA, New York, St. Louis, Detroit. It's actual spells intact to keep the energy on the low frequency, to keep the violence going. All right?
What do y'all think?
Now, this is the one because I lived in Chicago for a few years. And when I was in Chicago and I would mention Obama and Michelle, some of the older people that's around their age or older, they always say, oh, yeah, we know about Michael. That ain't no secret around here. Yeah, we know Michael is a he, or we knew that was Michael before. Oh, yeah, his mama got him changed over when he was young. So it's like, it's no secret to some people. And they say that they did this when he was young. So I've seen the media try to put out pictures of Michelle when she was younger. Now, one thing about it, two things for sure. For all y'all about to talk about the sisters, I am an Asiatic woman. I am a sister, and I protect us. However, I don't know. When I was in Chicago, this is just what the people said. I don't know. I'm trying to find out like.
What do you...
address things that nobody wants to talk about, especially race in America, and especially with all the things that have been going on and what have you. But you address it and make people laugh, not only at that, but at themselves. What is it that made you decide to go that route, or has that always been your route?
That's always been my route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's when it wasn't popular. It's popular now. But I did it when it wasn't popular. It was like, you know, it was outrageous.
Right.
It was like starting a riot almost.
It may have in a couple of instances.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, it's you know, now everyone's liberal and everyone's free and everyone's open, you know, and it's a popular thing to bring up race, you know, to bring up any cause now is popular.
Right. Well, they just following you. That's all there is to it.
Well, I already know that they're all seconds and thirds and fourths. I did it when you were not supposed to. I mean, when the world was vanilla.
So what keeps you on the road and doing comedy and that?
These tragic things, these sad things that are happening. We think it's power. It's to take, you know, it's President Obama.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like what comedians, what topics, what things you see.
President Obama.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Why?
Because I think that he's hilarious without knowing that he's hilarious. No, he's very funny. He does make me laugh. Doesn't he make you laugh?
On occasion.
Yeah, no, he makes me laugh all the time. Because he gets up there, you know. I mean, you have to take a look at him. That office is very hard. He looks old. Nothing personal. No, he does. Does he not?
He does look older than when he went
yes.
in. He does.
And he's gotten back. He's worked out. You know, he's dyed that hair. You know, he's camouflaging himself.
Hey,
he looks better.
Don't we all?
Yeah, but don't we all? Yeah, but he looks better. You understand?
I understand.
And you have to realize that there's more than one Obama.
Okay.
They're clones.
Ah, all right. Well, it would take a lot to do a lot of that.
No, and you think I'm kidding you? I'm serious.
Okay.
You when you see the clone can sing and dance. Yeah. The real Obama, he can't sing or he can't dance. No, it's true. And whenever you see his wife with the clone, she is like on a bad date. She's very standoff.
Oh,
her inner kids.
She doesn't like them.
But the real Obama, they're always hugging him and close to him, kissing him, brushing the dandruff off, because he has dandruff. He really does. That's why I did that commercial for whatever that shampoo was. No, but seriously.
You know you need help.
No, but it's true. No. But you think I'm kidding. Watch them, okay? Even the little dog. The real Obama, the little dog's all up in their face. But the
I
clone,
should not be laughing at our
the clone, the little dog is barking at the clone all the time.
Paul Mooney in town performing.
One hand still. Oh, still. Huh? You sound so happy? Yes, I am so happy. I'm so happy. That's good. People like to see me happy in life. Of course. Man, the real Kodak is locked up. Still. Oh, yes, you did. You did that, fam. The real Kodak is locked up still. The real Kodak is in an island. It's on an island somewhere. But I'm not finna expose nothing. That's just what it is. Of course. Man, the real Kodak is locked up still. Oh, yes, you did. You did that, fam. The real Kodak is locked up still. The real Kodak is in an island. It's on an island somewhere. But I'm not finna expose nothing. That's just what it is.
Kids at home, this next segment is for you. This Friday, the newest batch of Disney Channel stars grown in the Disney Genetic Engineering Lab will be unveiled to the public.
Right. Now, Tracy, most of our viewers are already familiar with a lot of the products that have come out of the Disney
I
Lab.
am.
Yes. But how exactly do you create a Hilary Duff or a Miley Cyrus from scratch?
Right.
Well, we're going to find out exactly how it's done right now, because joining us live from the Disney Lab is one of their lead geneticists, Dr. Andrew Rourke. Welcome, Dr. Rourke. There's quite an operation you've got going on out there.
Thanks, Jim.
So the stars that we see on TV are actually grown right here?
That's correct. They're grown and developed here. We engineer their brains for advanced singing and dancing capabilities, even posing for photos. By the time they grow to desired size, These child stars are fully ready for the camera or the concert tours or whatever Disney chooses to put them in.
That is simply amazing. Now, how long does it take to actually create a star from scratch?
Well, not very long at all. We use the exact same DNA structure for all of our stars, and then we simply tweak minor details like hair color or skin tone.
Right, yeah, we do have some footage here of some of the well-known creations that have come out of your lab. Let's take a look.
Yes, well, that's model 6831-A, publicly known as Mitchell Musso, standard male base with a type 3 skin pigmentation.
Wow.
And that's model 6831-B. We give him slightly thicker eyebrows and type 5 skin.
Well, so it's sort of like putting a puzzle together there.
Exactly, exactly.
Amazing.
Okay, here we've got some of the images of some of the newest models. We're going to be seeing a lot of these kids in the future.
It really looks like you have someone for every kid in America to
Right.
love
Well, that's
here.
the idea, Tracy. Our writers find it very liberating. For example, our new model, Haley, is a singing, dancing, snowboarding, half Japanese, half Indian girl.
Wow.
Now, finding her in reality would be impossible.
Right, but sounds like a surefire hit to me. Oh, now this one's Zac Efron. I've seen him before.
Yes, Zach was actually one of our earliest
My
models.
daughters love him. I mean, he looks so real.
Actually, I think we could have done a better job with Zach. He could show more human tendencies. If you look closely, you'll notice there's a certain deadness around the eyes.
I do see that, yes.
I'm sorry, it's hard for me to watch because all I see is all my mistakes.
Yeah.
Boy, he seems flawless to me.
Well, he's holding up, but there was a bug in that first batch, and as a result, Zach's skin will soon begin to dissolve.
No, poor Zac Efron.
All right. Well, it's simply amazing. Dr. Rourke, thank you so much for coming in and spending some of your morning with us. I can't wait to see some of these new creations popping out of the lab.
Yeah. The Illuminati knows the answers, taking bone samples to clone rappers. But the artists in prison to silence their vision, genetic copies going home after. They look different, eyes shifted, smile missing, skin lifted. It's scientific. If they can't control you, they erase the old you. Get your duplication to enforce their message. They clone Gucci, clone Kodak, cloned Eminem. He ain't rap since Encore. Know that cloning rappers when they overdose to keep making money from producing more tracks. The game is a sham, turning the artists who challenge to sacrificial lambs. The labels and devils are shaking hands, creating our artists in labs.
The executions have been televised, oh, they're on TMZ like every night. They take our heroes, give us weaponized clones. The revolution won't be televised. I can't be replicated. Copy the attitude and the chains, but no one will ever do me the same.
Whoopi Goldberg, and there was a few others that was into putting the pressure on David to stop this thing with the black race. Now that was before, and it was even afterwards. But they were putting the pressure on him, and so eventually down the line, David was doing his comedy in the local comedy clubs. But then he got a phone call again. And he said, he called me and told me, he said, cuz, now what he said to his brother, I don't know. But I do know, because David wouldn't, like when David talked to his brother, he wouldn't tell his brother conversation that him and I had. And because David's brother and him, they were family, but they wasn't like David and I were. And David would, when he called and talked to me, he wouldn't tell me things that he told his brother. And when David called me again, he said, cuz, they called me again. I said, who called you again? He said, the executives. And he said, they want to talk to me one more time. And they're thinking about the possibility of me doing the Chappelle show and doing it the way that I want to do it. I want to be, he said, because the only reason why I told them when I talked to them the last time that the only way I would do the Chappelle show again would be if I did it my way. And it would be set up on my terms. And so I received a phone call and they want to talk to me about it. Well, my antennas went up. I said, David, now you be careful now, because they could be saying that. He said, no, I really think they're serious this time, cuz. He said, because I made it definite with them that the only way that he said, I told it on Oprah Winfrey show too, that the only way that I would do the Chappelle show again, it would have to be on my terms, my way, and that and the money that I make, even if it wasn't $50 million, it would have to go to the people, and but it had to be on my terms. So I said, okay, David. I said, well, do you trust them? David said, David said, well, I think I can trust him this time. So I said, well, David, whatever the situation is, please give me a call. He said, you know that's right, cuz. And so David left. We hung up. I should say we hung up. I have not heard from David, not even today. I have not heard from David. Now, what I think is this, that Neil Brennan is a question mark, 100%. A question mark. I believe that David went there, and they discussed once again about the 50 million, and I believe Neil Brennan was somewhere in that office. I believe he was somewhere in that office, and then they told. I'm believing that they told David that they wanted him to see something. Just like they did Bernie Mac. Oh, yes, indeed. They took Bernie. Let me stop on David for a few minutes. But they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and he went down and he saw how people were being cloned. And when Bernie Mac came back and told Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley and a few others, and that he saw the cloning lab, and that something had to be done to stop that foolishness of what they were doing. Well, Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley went back and told the top brass of the Illuminati, the dark circle, inner dark circle, and what they did, they killed him. Okay, so now let's go back to David Chappelle. I'm truly believing that they told David they had something they wanted him to see. And they took David to the underground cloning lab. And when they took David down there, and I think that I'm believing that before they took David down there, they promised David that they would go along with his deal, with David's deal, to get him to sign the contract. And I'm believing that David, thinking that he would get back on the Chappelle show, working with Comedy Central, that everything was going to be all right. And I'm believing that David signed that contract thinking that. And when he signed that contract, they wanted David to go and look at something else. It could have been maybe telling him that maybe it was a new studio or something of some kind or what have you. But they got David, after signing the contract, you can say in blood, and David thinking that he's just signing the contract because things were going to work his way. And then once he signed the contract, they took him someplace else, and the place that they took him to was to the underground lab. And when they got him down there, they cloned David. And when they clone a person, and I want you to do your research, it's not like cloning is not like when a woman gets pregnant and they either inject her or for her to have a clone or the baby girl, however that goes. It's not like that. Cloning today only takes a couple, maybe to several hours to be cloned. Well, this is what I strongly believe they did to David. They took him to this underground lab, and what they did is just smiling in his face and just going along with David, so that David would not yield up or fight or this sort of thing. And they cloned him, and once they cloned David Chappelle, then they killed David Chappelle. Okay, and once they killed David Chappelle, that was it. Now they could do anything. It only takes a few hours to do this. And once they did this, then they had full control of this new Dave Chappelle. Now, some of you are thinking that, when David first met with the executive, he signed his name in blood. I'm telling you all, no, he did not. When David first met, when they offered him the $50 million, no, he did not. No, he did not sign his name in blood. And I'm wondering if he signed his name in blood, even when the second time he met these executives. Because now, if David refused on the first time, and he told me that he was finished with him, and then he told me that, the only way he would go back, and I always believe, because David had no reason to lie to me, his wife, or his mother, or any of his family. So, but now, when he went back the second time, and I believe David refused, but, they had to clone him. And then once they clone him, this is what I'm thinking too, maybe this is a second phrase that maybe I'm thinking of, that when they cloned him, then they got the clone to sign David's name for not only 50 million, but the 60 million as well. Okay, and so this new person that you see out, well, let me say this. I had not heard from David when he was supposed to have met with the executives the second time, and Dave promised me and assured me he would call me to let me know the outcome. I have not heard from David since. When I turned my television on and I saw this man there on some kind of show, and he had one pants leg rolled all the way down and the other one rolled all the way up, and they said this was Dave Chappelle. I said, Dave, who? And I went to the television and I looked and I said, hell no, that ain't no David Chappelle or no Dave Chappelle. No, hell no. And so I got on the cell phone and I called my cousin David. And I called, the phone rang and it rang and it rang. I think it was maybe on the fourth or fifth ring that someone picked up the telephone and said, hello. I said, yeah, let me speak to David. And the person on the other end said, who are you? I said, I'm David Chappelle's cousin. And the phone clicked. It clicked. It went dead. So I called the number right back up again, and the phone rang and it rang and it rang. I never got in contact with David. Now, office. I believe he was somewhere in that office, and then they told. I'm believing that they told David that they wanted him to see something. Just like they did Bernie Mac. Oh, yes, indeed. They took Bernie. Let me stop on David for a few minutes. But they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and they showed Bernie Mac the cloning lab, and he went down and he saw how people were being cloned. And when Bernie Mac came back and told Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley and a few others, and that he saw the cloning lab, and that something had to be done to stop that foolishness of what they were doing. Well, Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley went back and told the top brass of the Illuminati, the dark circle, dark circle, and what they did, they killed him. Okay, so now let's go back to David Chappelle. I'm truly believing that they told David they had something they wanted him to see, and they took David to the underground cloning lab. And when they took David down there, and I think that I'm believing that before they took David down there, they promised David that they would go along with his deal, with David's deal, to get him to sign the contract. And I'm believing that David, thinking that he would get back on the Chappelle show, working with Comedy Central, that everything was going to be all right. And I'm believing that David signed that contract thinking that. And when he signed that contract, they wanted David to go and look at something else. It could have been maybe telling him that maybe it was a new studio or something of some kind or what have you. But they got David after signing the contract, you can say in blood, and David thinking that he's just signing the contract because things were going to work his way. And then once he signed the contract, they took him someplace else, and the place that they took him to was to the underground lab. And when they got him down there, they cloned David. And when they clone a person, and I want you to do your research, it's not like cloning is not like when a woman gets pregnant and they either inject her or, you know, for her to have a clone or the baby girl, however that goes. It's not like that. Cloning today only takes a couple, maybe to several hours to be cloned. Well, this is what I strongly believe they did to David. They took him to this underground lab. And what they did is they smiling in his face and you know, just going along with David so that David would not yield up or fight or this sort of thing. And they cloned him. And once they cloned David Chappelle, then they killed David Chappelle. Okay, and once they killed David Chappelle, that was it. Now they could do anything. It only takes a few hours to do this. And once they did this, then they had full control of this new Dave Chappelle. Now, some of you are thinking that when David first met with the executive, he signed his name in blood. I'm telling you all, no, he did not. When David first met, when they offered him the $50 million, no, he did not. No, he did not sign his name in blood. And I'm wondering if he signed his name in blood, you know, even when the second time he met these executives. Because now, if David refused on the first time, and he told me that he was finished with him, and then he told me that, you know, the only way he would go back, and I always believe, because David had no reason to lie to me, his wife, or his mother, or any of his family. So, but now, when he went back the second time, and I believe David refused, but, you know, they had to clone him. And then once they clone him, this is what I'm thinking too, maybe this is a second phrase that maybe I'm thinking of, that when they cloned him, then they got the clone to sign David's name for not only $50 million, but the $60 million as well. Okay, and so this new person that you see out, and well, let me say this, I had not heard from David when he was supposed to have met with the executives the second time, and Dave promised me and assured me he would call me to let me know the outcome. I have not heard from David since. When I turned my television on and I saw this man there on some kind of show, and he had one pants leg rolled all the way down and the other one rolled all the way up, and they said this was Dave Chappelle. I said, Dave, who? And I went to the television and I looked and I said, hell no, that ain't no David Chappelle or no Dave Chappelle. No, hell no. And so I got on the cell phone and I called my cousin David. And I called, the phone rang and it rang and it rang. I think it was maybe on the fourth or fifth ring that someone picked up the telephone and said, hello. I said, yeah, let me speak to David. And the person on the other end said, who are you? I said, I'm David Chappelle's cousin. And the phone clicked. It clicked. It went dead. So I called the number right back up again, and the phone rang, and it rang, and it rang. I never got in contact with David. Now, I called David's brother, William, you know, didn't get an answer from him either. I don't know what had happened, but I didn't get an answer from him. But when I saw this man on television with one pants leg all the way down and the other pants leg rolled up. I knew damn well that was not my cousin, not my Uncle William's son. Hell no. And when this new Dave had his pants and leg rolled up, that was a symbol of the Masons. Now, David Chappelle was a practicing Muslim. My cousin Felicia, she's a practicing Muslim all the way. You see, David has children that has Muslim names. Now, why would all of a sudden this David turn from Muslim to Mason? It didn't add up. Okay, and then when they began to show this new Dave pictures of him, and I knew doggone well that wasn't David Chappelle, because now if you look at the old, and I'm going to show some pictures on here that with the JT anti New World movement is going to show pictures on here, I should say. You're going to see the old David in 2016, and then and maybe a year before, and you're going to see the old David Chappelle, and you're going to see the new Dave Chappelle, and you would now look at the comparison. Now, the old David, his eyes, David had, semi-big eyes, but his eyes were more slanted than bulged out eyes. And David and I, we always talked about his weight. And I was, Dave, you need to get, they said, no, because I don't want to be big. I want to stay small. I said, well, why? Because I can run fast. I can do things fast. David never believed in being a big, husky type person. This new person here today, they have him as a big, husky type person, like a bodybuilder. His eyes are budging out of his head. His neck is as big as one of the wrestlers' necks on the WrestleMania. You see, that's not, I'm telling you, you all can believe what you want to believe, but I know what I know. The Chappelle family knows this. This is not our family member. This is not my cousin. And sure, his birth name is David, because my uncle's name, Uncle William, his name was William David Chappelle. Okay, so William, his son, is named after Uncle Williams, but David was named after the middle name of my uncle. And so now, so people would call him David, and some would call him Dave. It didn't matter. David would answer to David or Dave. But this new Dave that they have out, it looks nothing like the old David Chappelle. David would, when David was the old David, he would have like a mustache. The new Dave, they have a mustache, but a slight mustache, but it looks like it's painted on his face. It's not the mustache that the old David Chappelle had. And so now when they did David, made him a clone. Now this is the thing. Now they knew that his wife and his children and his mother would know the difference. If they had, once they cloned David Chappelle and sent this new Dave back home, they would know the difference. This is not my husband, this is not my father, and this is not my son. So what they had to do, then they made threats to David earlier about taking out his wife, his children, and his mother. They told David at one time, this was all after they asked David to quit smashing on the black race as far as the character that he was playing. It's a man of Russia, Putin. Because Putin is cloned too, whether you believe it or not, but you do your research and find out these things now here. And when Putin was cloned, his wife said, when they send him back home, she said, she got on in front of the cameras, she told everybody, this man is not my husband. She said, no, this is not my husband. this was a different man. And she saw the difference that this man had brought forth. Well, she was beginning to run her mouth a little bit too much. So what did they do? They didn't do it until Putin's wife was going to divorce Putin. And so what did they do? They cloned her. They cloned her. And now you ask her if Putin is her husband, she'll tell you, yes, that's my husband. And if you do your research on it, you'll find statements and bulletins and that where she said at one time, that's not my husband. I don't know who this man is. This is an imposter that I'm living with. And, do your research and find out what she said. And so they figured if they sent David back home to his wife, his children, and his mother, they would say the same thing. So they had to do something. And so what they did, before they sent David back home to his family, they cloned his wife, Elaine, they cloned his children, and they cloned his mama, my aunt. And they cloned all of them. And so now they were able to send David back home to them. And they don't know the difference. And you know why they don't know the difference? Because they all have been cloned. They all have been cloned. And if you go to them and ask them of the things, that I said about David, they'll look at you and say, no, something is wrong with her. She's, and they'll say this. Well, naturally they'll say this. So like they did with Princess Diana. Princess Diana knew so much. And, but what did they do? They cloned her. But see, the brain part of Princess Diana, the original, came into the brain of the clone Diana. And so the clone Diana, because as you know, Princess Diana, the original one, she used to cry all the time. You do your research now. She used to cry all the time. She would wipe away tears and this sort of thing. And so the clone Diana did the same thing. And Queen Elizabeth had taken this so long and so much, and they were unassured if the clone Diana would take on the concept of the original Diana by going and telling the things that she knew that the original Diana knew. So what did Queen Elizabeth? Now she didn't directly do it, but she had to order sit down. And so what did they do? They had her killed in a car accident to kill off the clone. So there will be no more Dianas to speak of. And so that's why they cloned David's wife, mother, and children, because they knew that David loved his family. And it wouldn't look right for David and all of his family to just all of a sudden, especially his family to die or something of that nature. So they had to clone them as well. And they're living happily ever after as clones on the farm in Ohio, in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And so, and what they're doing off of this clone David, they're going to use this clone David to make money off of. Oh, they're going to push this clone David. They're going to push him and push him. They're going to make so much money off of him until they can't make enough. And once they have made enough, then they're going to kill off the clone. But you see that if you listeners out there compare the original David to this new David, the original David, Chappelle, made people, this man, the original was funny. I mean, he was fun. He told you, he would tell jokes to me and I would just laugh like that. But now this new clone, he's not as funny as the old David is. There are things that the old David did, this new David doesn't even do. He doesn't, and if you listen, but you have to listen closely to this clone's voice. I'm telling you, listen very closely. This new clone does not, because I've picked it up and several other Chappelle family members have picked it up. This new clone does not have the original tone voice that David Chappelle had. You see, does not have it. And then this new clone has David Chappelle's brain, his mindset. Now, David Chappelle, and I do believe this with my heart and my soul, because as I stated before, David and I, we were very, very close. I knew every gesture, every word that David would say. Sometimes I would say something and David would finish it. David would say something and I would finish it. The many times that David would come to the different cities or states and do his comedy shows, even at the comedy clubs, I was there. I was there. The time he came to Washington, D.C., because I'm in New York. I live in New York. But the time he came to Washington, D.C., Dave called me and told me to come on down to the Warner Club. I was there. And if you get the video, if you get that video of David being at the Warner Club in D.C., David will tell you on that stage, I have family members in the audience. Well, you know who that family members was? It was me and my damn family. And after the show was over, I went behind the stage and I talked to my David, my cousin. You see what I'm saying? So I do believe without a shadow of a doubt that David, when they cloned David, David was fighting all the way. I mean, he was resisting. And they didn't inject him with anything. No. And if David signed anything, if David signed a second contract, it was because David was believing, because he said, the only way I'll redo the Chappelle show is that things have to be the way I want them to be. The funds will have to go to the people. He said it on Oprah Winfrey, and he said it to me. And so they had David thinking and believing, I do believe that's the way it would be. And to get him down, and not get him down, but to take him to the underground cloning lab. And once they got him there and David saw what it was, David wanted to get the hell out of there, but they held him against his wishes. And when they held him against his wishes, that's when they put him in the cloning lab thing, or whatever they put him in, and that's when they cloned him. And once they got a replica of David Chappelle, then they killed the original David Chappelle. They killed his ass. But they knew they were not ready to send him back home to his family yet. They knew they had to do something with the family to make it believable that the one that they were sending back to them was the original. This is how these people work. I'm telling you, and I know what I'm talking about. And because David, David was a funny man. He didn't have many friends. After he thought about his life, David didn't have many friends, because the friends that he had, they turned on. And I truly believe that was that Neil Brennan turned on him. But the things that he said, what Neil Brennan said about David, and that was David's buddy. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it is in the show business world. And so when you look at this new being on television, and the man not even funny, this is not the original David Chappelle. You all go pay money to see his shows, and the money that you're paying, it's not going to David's family, because David's family is a bunch of clones. You're paying money to the Illuminati. That's who you're paying the money to. And so David's this David's not even funny. His jokes that he tells, and I look and I try to, you can't laugh at because the man is nothing like the original. He doesn't, and if you listen to the tone of voice, he doesn't even sound like the old original David. And so, and it breaks me to my heart, because I know now that and I haven't received another phone call from my cousin David. And it breaks me to my heart that I will never receive a phone call from David. We'll never receive another visit from him. You see, and it's sad. It is really sad. When David, he found himself, he wanted to get away from show business. And he said the only reason why he would come back to do the Chappelle show is that he would have to do it his way. And these people, whomever they are, they made him believe, Dave, and I'm pretty sure it sounds convincing. They made him think and believe that, Dave, this is the way we're going to do it. We'll do it your way. And because they had all intentions of taking Dave out, just like they did Martin Lawrence, just like they did Bernie Mac. And there are other stars that they have taken out. You see, and we think that they have died just in their sleeps, or they, or something of this nature happens to them, or something of that nature happens to them. You see, or they're one way before, and then they come back after a certain period of absence, and they come back a different way. This David has no soul. He has no spirit. Sure, he can eat and drink like like you and I can. He can drink like you and I can. He can bleed like you and I can. But the thing about it, he has no soul and no spirit. These type of clones are called synthetic robotoids. And that's what this new Dave Chappelle is. He's a synthetic robotoid. That's what Britney Spears is. That's what all the other of these singers and actors and actresses and comedians, that's what all of them are. And they have warned each and every one. They have told each and every one of them, each and every one of us, how they hate they got into the business. Kanye West said the same thing. Kanye West has spoken about, how he gave him his mother as a sacrifice. How, how the business is. He has told us about that. Britney Spears and I could go on and list, but there's so many. You see what I'm saying? But David, he tried to tell people about the business. When from the time that he stepped out of the executive office, of the torture and what they put upon him and what they said to him, it scared him so bad that he had to get away. And that's why he went to Africa. That's exactly why he went. But when he went to Africa, he had not signed his name in blood. So all of you who saying that he did, stop it. You stop it, because he did not sign his name in blood. I know. I talked to the man even after he came out of the meeting with the executive. I talked with him, and I could also tell you, some things that how I really, really know of how he talked to me about the things that went in the meeting, with the executive. But I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that, because that's why I'm keeping my voice anonymous, because they'll come after me too. They'll come after me. So I'm not going to go into depth as to the things beyond our conversations that David and I had, or the meetings that we have had, or the dinner talks, or the little drinks after, that we've had. No, I'm not going to do that. I have pictures of me and David together, and David's my uncle William, and the rest of the family members. I have pictures of us at the family reunions. I even have pictures of the times that I went to David's show, and him asking me to come on down, cuz. I have pictures of that. You see, but I don't have to prove to you, because I know that, the same blood that David had running in his veins and in his body, the original David, is the same blood that I have. We were first cousins. This new clone that's out there is nothing to me. He's not my cousin. I don't know this person, so he's nothing. My Aunt Yvonne, no. None of them people on that side, it means anything to me anymore, because they're all clones. Now, you can believe it, you can accept it, or you can reject it, but I know what I know. And it's a sad thing, because now I know that I will never receive any phone calls to tell me or to ask me, cuz, come on down. I will never laugh again.
Do it. I look on Twitter, there you are. How do you do it? I look on Twitter, there you are. Facebook, there you are. Television, there you are. How do you do it?
I have a clone.
I was going to say that. There's two of you.
Cat's out the bag. Okay? It's about a good 3 of me. We broke it. They didn't want to release it yet. This is major news that I'm giving you.
All right.
I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned.
Does not exacerbate environmental injustice and, again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take pride in the president's agenda that he is advancing here in the Summit of the Americas. We does not exacerbate environmental injustice and, again, the food security issue. He's been spelling that out the whole time. I want you to know that we in the Congress fully support and take pride in the president's agenda that he is advancing here in the Summit of the Americas. We does not.
You know, Kev, I was on Twitter yesterday because I saw your name trending, so I clicked on it just to see if it was one of the jokes or something that pissed people off. But it wasn't. It was a lookalike from Zambia.
He said he stole your face.
I thought it was somebody playing with a filter on social media. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's him. That's him. Shit's scary.
Yeah.
That's him. That's cool. Like, you know, when people say somebody look like you look at them, and you're like, man, I may not be attractive. Like, I may be fucked up in the face. And then I look like this. This guy actually looks like me. Like, it's not a joke.
No, it's not.
My brother. He looks exactly like we were birthed from the same woman. But I thought he was playing with a filter. Like
Me
one
too.
of the things. But that's him. That's the second time I've seen it.
That's crazy.
Did you reach out to him at all? Because when you see it, like, do you hit him up and be like, yo, you really do look like me?
No, that shit weird. What am I gonna say that?
Have you ever done